AI in the travel, here we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chatbot flow. AI, revolutionizing how we roll. Gonna hop on a plane, feeling so.
Welcome to another episode of the Everything AI in Travel podcast, where we hear from the makers, shapers, and buyers of AI technology in the travel space. Here's your host, Tony Khan.
Hey everyone. Now, before we get started with today's show, I've got a very special guest with me who's got an event coming up later in the year that I think you should consider attending. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bruce Rassard from Arrival. How are you going?
Hey, thanks, Tony. Really appreciate the time. So, Arrival, for those who aren't familiar with us, focuses on destination experiences, what you do when you get there on vacation. We all know that people don't go on trips to stay in a hotel or fly. They go to have fun when they get to destination. So that's what Arrival is all about. At our conference this year in Washington, D.C., September 29 to October 3rd, we actually have three different elements. First, we have our executive summit for the C-suite. Then the second day is our AI forum for destination experiences. It's the first of its kind. It's never happened. And we've got a great group of speakers that are going to be there to talk about the intermediate up to expert level of what people know about AI, not designed for beginners. We will have some sessions at Arrival 360, which follows the AI forum for more introductory AI.
Sounds really great, Bruce. Now, what can people expect to take away or learn from going to the AI specific part of the conference?
You know, at the AI conference, Tony, we're going to have high-level strategic discussions on our main stage, everything from agents and what's happening with that, the impact of AI on search and discovery, what you need to know from a regulatory and privacy perspective. That'll be on the main stage and more sessions like that. Some investors will be there sharing their perspective. And then we'll have breakout sessions where we're going to go deep again into search and discovery because we know how important that is. Agents, working with agents, and roll up your sleeves, bring your laptop, hour and a half long sessions on the tools. You know, we know what tools everyone's using today. By the time the event runs around in September, it'll be different. And we'll have roundtables with discussions for practical information. Here's some tools you need to start using today. By tomorrow, you can start using them.
Sounds super fantastic. I'm definitely going to be there. Where can people find out some more information?
Just go to arrival.travel and navigate your way to our Washington event. And you'll see subtitles for our executive summit and our AI forum and the rest of the conference that's going on that first week of October in DC.
Perfect. Now, there's a special offer for listeners of the Everything AI and Travel podcast, and you'll find that in the show notes. So if that sounded like something that you would like to attend, and I think you should, then go down to those show notes and grab that special offer, find out more about the conference and book yourself a ticket. Thanks for joining us today, Bruce.
Yeah, one last thing. It's Arrival with one R. For those of you listening, arrival.travel.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us, Bruce. And now on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome to another Everything AI and Travel podcast. I'm back from my holidays and been out searching the globe for all the movers and shakers for us to talk to. And this time I've gone remote. We've gone to some remote places before. We've been to Ecuador, we've been to India, but I'm not sure we've ever been quite as remote as this. Welcome to Mr. Tata Crocombe from the Cook Islands of all places. How are you going today?
Fantastic.
Very good. Now, some of our listeners might not have a clue where the Cook Islands are. Like, where are you and what's happening out there and why do tourists go there?
So it's an independent nation between Fiji and Tahiti. Why do tourists come here? It's sensationally beautiful, very vibrant, attractive, contemporary Polynesian culture. It's safe. You can go to any one of the 150 dining establishments, dozens of nightclubs. They're all perfectly safe. And you know, we have marine reserves all around the island. You can swim with the turtles, swim with the whales. It's a great combination of a vibrant culture and a beautiful natural landscape.
Sure. Got your own airline? Who flies there? How do people get there? And who are your kind of main group of tourists?
The airlines that service the Cook Islands are Air New Zealand is the main one. Jetstar flies out of Australia. Hawaiian flies out of the US, and Air Rarotonga connects to Tahiti, which then connects to all the flights that are coming in from particularly Europe. So it's those four carriers. We don't have our own national carrier.
For sure. And is it like mainly Kiwis that are the main bunch of tourists, or you're getting people from all over? And are they coming like specifically for water sports or pure leisure, or what else is happening there?
It's primarily leisure. There is some conference business, particularly government related. Kiwis make up about 65% of the overall arrivals. Aussies about 30, and the balance are North Americans and Europeans.
For sure. And
With
are they
Australia,
coming like for scuba diving, or is that a thing out there? What's happening out there?
it's all of it. We have scuba diving, whale watching, deep sea fishing, nature walks. As I said, it's probably got some of the best food and beverage in the South Pacific. It's a fantastic little destination.
Perfect, perfect. And your history in the place. Now you're a hotelier there now.
Yeah.
What's your backstory for the Cook Islands?
So my mum's from here, my dad's a Kiwi. When I left at 19, left the island, I thought I'd never come back, so never say never. And I came back about 30 years ago and bought one of the main hotels, and we've now got 3 hotels: a private island resort, 5-star, and 2 4-star resorts.
Very good. And how's business?
Look, COVID, we were closed for 2.5 years completely. The government shut down the borders, but we've come back much stronger. So rates are up 50% on last year, occupancy around 95%. Even our low season will be pretty high. So from a trading point of view, it's all going well.
Sounds good. Now you got your own DMO in the Cook Islands?
We do have a very effective one. It punches well above its rate. Cook Islands Tourism. So they're involved in long-term development, destination development. So, particularly in terms of environmental sustainability and cultural preservation. And then they also do marketing, particularly the brand, Cook Islands brand. And then they're involved in a lot of sales and marketing activity with preferred wholesalers, OTAs, and also directly with the industry.
Perfect, perfect. And in terms of like GDP, tourism for the Cook Islands, how big is it?
It's the only economic game in town, to be honest. I think last I saw it was 70% of GDP, but that doesn't include induced and indirect effects. So it's effectively it's a tourism town, tourism country.
Perfect. And cruise ships pulling in there?
Sometimes it's not a big cruise ship destination. We have waters that are 5 kilometres deep just off the shore, and so what that means is that we also have heavy seas. And what cruise ships like is lots of places close together with sheltered waters like the Caribbean. They also are pretty active in Tahiti, which is fairly similar. But coming down here, it's interesting because it's one of the most popular destinations with the guests, but one time in 5 they can't come ashore. That's just not really good for a cruise line business.
No, and it's particularly if you've come a long way and you can't get off. That's probably not what people are looking for, right?
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you and the reason that we connected is that you, in your LinkedIn present, talk about yourself as the AI hotelier. And that to me was fantastic. And that'd be kind of struck me as a little unusual that, a hotelier from the Cook Island would be at the bleeding edge of everything that's happening with AI, but fantastic and props to you. How did your interest evolve there?
So you'll be pleased to know we're not near any bleeding edges. We're making more money out of AI than we've made out of anything in our 30-year existence. It's the most consequential technology that's humanity's invented so far. It's phenomenal return on investment. You can't even calculate the return on investment because the nice people at Microsoft spent, I think, $15 billion developing ChatGPT, and for $20 US, you can have everything it's got for a month. So tell me another better deal you've ever come across in your entire life, and I'll be stunned. So we've got this amazing technology. It's very user friendly. It can add value to all sorts of things, and we're just getting underway. So we've made tens of millions of dollars out of primarily ChatGPT. We use Claude as well. We use all of them, but for different purposes. But it's just a phenomenal technology, and it can favorably impact on the value chain from pre-arrival for the guest all the way through to energy management, HR, rostering. It can literally do everything.
Brilliant. And Clearly, you're personally very passionate about it. What about the people around you? The staff that you had that may have been more traditional hospitality staff. How have they embraced using AI?
So we just had a meeting just before this one with our entire reservations team. We have a call center in the Philippines. We have people in Australia, New Zealand, in the south. So we had a sales meeting, and we've basically just rolled out a Claude-based reservation support agent, right? And so what it does is if somebody approaches us to get a wedding, have a wedding with us, it will assist the wedding planner design the whole wedding. So what we've done is we've reduced the average turnaround time from 3 hours of work by the wedding planner to tailor the wedding to that particular bride's requirements down to about 3 minutes.
Pretty
And
incredible.
it also means is that every one of the dozen people in sales and marketing can pick up a wedding inquiry and answer it on the spot with a high degree of confidence. So we've done the same for conferences, for groups, and for each one of our hotels. We've done something similar we've got about 10 agents working in revenue management. So, and the one that we're really working on now is, every hotel in the world is paying exorbitant amounts of money to the OTAs for the distribution of their live inventory and pricing, right? But what's coming down the line is that you'll be able to do personalized pricing and personalized terms and conditions and etc. So, and the OTAs, I don't believe, will be able to dominate that in the way that they have dominated this particular technology. The new technology, if we look at the history of innovation, it's very rare for an incumbent to continue their dominance in a new technology. So I think, for my money, if the OTAs are still dominant with the deployment, let's say in 3 years' time, the full deployment of AI, it wasn't a consequential technology. It was an extension of the existing technology, which it isn't. It's a consequential technology. It's the application of cognition to human endeavor, which has never been able to be done at the scale that it is now, and using, supplementing human intelligence with a virtual intelligence. So, yeah, it's a technology that's going to change the way we run hotels. It's changing the way we run hotels. It's going to affect every part of the value chain in a positive way. We've taken out significant costs right across the system. We're delivering better customer experience, better staff experience, utilizing energy much more efficiently, and we're just getting started.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And have you brought on external vendors to help you with this, or have you just jumped in and figured it out for yourself?
More the latter. We tried the former. We went and we got on and found out who the good and the great were in the AI world. The truth is there is no one really. I mean, there's lots of people who say they've heard of it and they know how to spell it, but no one's really done it. Or at least if they have, I haven't found them. And they all wanted $500,000 to basically learn on my nickel. So we just, I have a very bright son. Anybody under 30, even if they don't know the technology, gets how it all works. And what we have a step, we got quoted $500,000 for these, to do one agent, which is just bizarre. So what we said is, well, we gave ourselves 12 weeks to stand up our first agent, right? And we stood it up in 9 hours because we just basically everybody put their brains together and we stood up the first wedding planner agent. But it's what we've focused on is it's not guest facing to start with, right? Because that's where all the trouble starts. It's not integrated to the PMS. That's where all the other trouble starts because you've got to go and talk to the nice people at Oracle and they take, a long time to respond to anything. And so we said, let's not do integrations, let's not do guest facing, because that's when hallucinations become a big problem. And so what we're doing is step one is stand the thing up and just get some value. And then step two is integrated with our other agents. So we've got 5 reservation agents, 6, sorry. The next step that we're working on now is for all 6 agents to be able to work together, right? We've got about 8 revenue management agents. Again, the next step is for them all to work together. Now, once we've got all that working, then we'll look at integration to legacy systems, PMS, POS, ERP, and those sort of things, because those come with a lot. I mean, here's the fascinating thing to me, right? ChatGPT has delivered tens of millions of dollars to my business. Tens of millions. I'm not pulling your leg. No hotel vendor has delivered tens of millions of dollars to me. None, not one. You know, what they've taken is millions of dollars in fees and stuff. So the ROI equation for AI is just phenomenal. And the legacy, well, that's probably a bit unkind, but they're legacy systems, which will be replaced by AI shortly, I would say. The return on investment equation is very, very, very poor. The return on investment of AI is just, you can't even calculate the return on investment because it's in the thousands of percent. So let's take our reservations. We've got a dozen reservationists, and what they're saying on average is that they've cut about 80% of the dross out of their job. That's on round one. You know, so you show me something else that can do that. I mean, just the labour savings is alone, but that means we've been able to redeploy all that time into actually doing hospitality.
That's great.
Rather than filling in forms and, you know, answering for the 400th time this week, what time's breakfast? You know, we just are moving on to things that are far more interesting for our staff and far more value adding for our guests.
For sure. Now, I talk to people about AI in hospitality every day, and I don't come across too many that have derived tens of millions of dollars of value out of AI at this point. I think there's a lot of people out there who think they might or probably could, but those that have actually just gone on and done it, and there'd be a lot of people listening to this podcast who actually haven't done anything. Like, clearly you feel that they're missing a trick, and that maybe it's not as hard as people might think it is to get started. Like, how easy was it for you just to pick up some of these tools and get going?
Surprisingly easy, actually. You know, what is ChatGPT? You know, the nice people at Microsoft spent all those billions and they just codified every written word that humans have ever written, right? And then within seconds you can query that database. That's just the lowest level of technology, right? And, you know, I'm so old that, you know, when I started out in hotels, we were still on telexes. So we've gone from telex to fax to email to now what we're doing is, you know, we're coming up to where we're going to be doing personalized pricing. So when Tony books at our hotel, Tony's going to get a price for Tony and terms and conditions for Tony and a full itinerary. I mean, that's only 30 years ago that I was told by our leading wholesalers that if a hotel could turn around a confirmation of a reservation in a week, they were rocket scientists, right? So think about where we've got to now. So I think it's just a matter of getting on with it. You know, I was at a conference once, and the guy before me said, if you don't have $10 million for AI, you shouldn't even start. And I said, well, I would say that if you're not blessed with a kid under 30, you probably shouldn't start, because those kids can tell you, they can do the whole thing for you, you know, and probably just tell them that you'll buy them a pizza or something. I don't know. It's just complete nonsense that it's a high cost endeavor. You know, a PMS is a high cost endeavor. A POS is a high cost endeavor. And if you have a fancy PMS like we do, like we have Oracle, best in the world, it's a very expensive endeavor, you know, and a very complicated one. ChatGPT is just so simple. Just ask the questions. Now, it gets a bit more complicated when you want to, because obviously the next step up is automation. I mean, it's just passive. It's just sort of saying, hey, tell me the answer, and it just regurgitates stuff back to you. Then you've got to get to automation. So what we're saying is that, like, we review all of our guest reviews on Google Hotels, Booking.com, Expedia, our own internal ones, blah, blah, blah. So across our 3 hotels, we might have 200-300 reviews in a week, right? No one was reading them because it's just, no one could read them, right? And if you did read them, by the time you got through the 200, your brain scrambled. You can't make any sense of it. So we've written AIs that interpret that and turn it into a page and a half of action items to say, this is what's happening. We also evaluate our concept. We say, this is where we are in terms of food and beverage. And then these are the things that we need to work on. If we work on those, this is what we're calculating now. This is the impact on rate, occupancy, and free cash flow. It's just mind blowing, right? And it's just something that we'll eventually have automated. The next step is then actually using agentic technology to say, don't only just do that, then figure out which channels we'll close. Should we open booking.com during the high season? If so, at what price or how many rooms? Should we make available? Should we make our overwater bungalows, which are our most popular rooms ever? Should we even have them available on booking.com, for example? We can't do those calculations now, but what we're working on is now, and that's the third level, the agentic level, where it will take that automatic 24/7 analysis and then make decisions. Now, at first, we'll do human in the loop, and so that we'll control it. We'll say, okay, AI, tell us, and then when we come in the morning, we'll press the button yes or no. But we want to get to, automated as soon as possible. Now, how far away is that? Again, what we've learned is work expands to meet the time available, just like your school teacher told you 50 years ago. I mean, it's true. So we just sort of say, in 12 weeks, we'll have this done. And sometimes you don't get it done. Sometimes you get more done, but at least it focuses the whole team. So that's the sort of pathway that we work through, all the 3 steps of technology. Now, that's all before we get to integrations, because we just find working with the big tech companies is, just very difficult. They're very slow, very unresponsive, and they're very precious of their technology. And that's before we get to guest facing, which we think is the last step. Now, even guest facing, you can it's 80-20, right? So for example, one of the things we did with our reservationists, we said, gee shucks, we've done this thing, it's great, but it can't tell you what the rate will be and we've got availability for Tony's dates. And we said, big problem, woe is me. Until one of our reservationists said, well, 90% of people don't really want that. All they want is a link to the booking engine that gives them the promo code already loaded. So that's what we've done. Didn't have to ask anybody for any permission. And we've got 90% of it done. And we can see it through the conversions, is that our conversions have lifted straight away. So for God's sakes, don't sit around waiting for anyone to come along. Now, the other good thing is that you look like you're sort of about the same vintage as me. And this is the first information technology where actually being an old person is an advantage, right? Because you might not think of yourself as an old person, but I'm definitely an old person.
I'm an old person. No,
basically,
no doubt about it.
Technology is, we lost out because, if I ever have a problem with my iPhone, I say to my son, what do I do? And he said, oh, for goodness sakes, press F9 or whatever it is. And they get it. I don't know how they think it, right? Well, the difference with AI is that AI basically requires human judgment to optimize it, right? I mean, sure, you can write a rap song in the like Eminem about, I don't know, whatever you want to write about, but that's just stupid stuff. If you want to do real stuff, you better have some gray. Well, having some gray hairs is a great advantage. And so, we always treat the AI as like you've got the smartest assistant that you could ever hope for, but they're still an assistant. And I haven't come across anyone where I thought, this is smarter than me. I thought it can compute numbers faster than me. I thought it can process information faster than me. But, we're always confident that we are in the driver's seat in terms of making sure that we're applying our intelligence and augmenting it with the artificial intelligence.
Super important point there. And I think this is kind of a lot of people's first interrelation with a GPT or an LLM is, they'll always ask it a question, something they know a lot about, and it will give the 80% decent answer when they're at 99%. And they'll think, this thing isn't that good. But if you ask it something you know nothing about, it's like, whoa, that knows way more than me. And so it is all about perspective, context, and your own judgment, as you said there. Now, when you're chatting with your fellow hoteliers in the Cook Islands, do they think you're from another planet, or are they on board with this as well?
Well, they thought I was from another planet before this. So, and we're just deploying. We're just deploying it and deploying it. We haven't got time to sit and discuss or argue or waste time on it. I mean, we just can't get done all the things that we know will make us a small fortune. Every single one of these things. I'll give you another example. We've built an agent that does menu engineering. Now, if you've ever owned or run a restaurant, you know that one of the worst things about owning a restaurant is menu engineering, which is you're trying to figure out what the customer wants. Can you make it profitably? Can you make it at all? Can your team actually make it? And most restaurateurs have got no clue about how accounts works. Most hoteliers don't. So we've built a AI that goes through, and because Aussies and Kiwis are our main market, we say in a 4-star beach resort experience, what are Aussies and Kiwis looking for when they're on a menu? It spat all that out. We said break it down into pizzas, steaks, blah blah blah, seafood. Spat all that out. Then we said, right, what are the top 10 things that they like? And it spat all that out. And then we said, okay, well, people don't come all the way from Australia to eat what they could eat in Australia, so we want half the menu to be familiar, you know, chicken parmigiana, but we want half of it to be familiar but islandified, Polynesianified, you know. So we've gone through that. Then we said, look, the guys on the line, most of them are kids who've got a diploma of 1 year and they've got a year's experience. That kid needs to make this to a consistently high standard within 20 minutes between 6:30 and 7:30, which is when our crush time is. And so we put our entire 100 items on a menu through it, and it came back, the bot came back, the agent came back and said, look, 40% of these can't be done in that time. But we said, what if we changed ingredients, cooking methods, or whatever? Said about 20% of those could be saved, and then the other 20% we had to let go. Then we said we wanted 40% gross margin, and went through again. It was roughly about 40%. 20% could be restructured. 20% had to be let go. You know, too much prawns or too much lobster or things that sounded great, but no one's going to pay you for. And then it just generates it generates the menu, it generates, we take a holistic view of the whole menu. Does it hang together? There's enough for the vegans and the vegetarians and the gluten-frees and the kids and everything else. And a lot of the things we use the agent to identify common ingredients, common cooking methodologies, and it basically taught it to think like a chef on the line. How can I have a very diverse menu, but only be using a narrower range of products that I can do cost effectively, and I can actually cook within the 20 minutes that people expect to get their meals. So putting all that together, we rolled that out. We're on our third iteration now. We rolled that out. We had a 15% lift in revenue, and I think it was about a 40% lift in profitability, because we just basically eliminated a lot of stuff out of the whole system. So,
and like finally did that analysis that would have been just too hard to sit down and do with pen and paper or an Excel spreadsheet, or nobody had the ambition or endeavor to do it. I'm interested, like, is this you and your son working this out, or within your business you're dragging in the chef and the sous chef and you're all sitting down together with the GPT and doing this together? Or like, how is the actual pickup outside of, you know, kind of the core 2 or 3 people?
So we use it as a tool to augment those people. So let's take the menu engineering. So in the room, well, actually on Teams, is director of finance, director of sales and marketing, the executive chef, the head chef, the restaurant manager, and some marketing people, right? Now, everyone's got lots of big egos and everyone knows everything. So one of the amazing things about what we've been able to do is that everybody can put in their contribution, and then ChatGPT, we say, look, tell us the 3 options to achieve this particular purpose. You know, let's say that we wanted to have a signature Polynesian pizza. And in fact, why 3? We just say, give us 50, because it's a computer, it doesn't care. You know, if you ask a human assistant, give me 50, that, you know, that you have a claim against you. Exactly, you have a claim against you in the court, and the judge will say you're inhumane. The computer don't care. And so we just go down to 50 and we say, you know what? And then we have a vote, which of the 3 we're going to, and then we develop and develop and develop. So it's just that what we found is that we probably cut by about a factor of 5. So it was about 20%, we got something better. Now, the reality is, one of the reasons why hotel people hate menu engineering is because you never get it done. No one's got the time to sit down and do it. We know how to do it. We know what the steps are to work through it. You just don't get the time. So instead of doing it once every 2 years, we're now doing it every 3 months, and we're about to automate it so that it's going to do it daily itself, and then tell us, and then we, you know, human in the loop, we will say we like that idea, and we'll change the Mexican pizza to a Hawaiian pizza or whatever. So that's been one of the other big bits of value, is integrating and aligning diverse perspectives, which is what our business is all about. Everything has got a financial angle, operations angle, a guest angle, a staff angle, a sustainability angle. And, our human brains, after, whatever it was, about 300,000 or 400,000 years of evolution, can only process so much. And what this AI does is allows us to break that constraint. We still process the refinement, we can only deal with 7 items at once, but we bring it down to, after considering thousands of items, we bring it down to the 7 that we can do. And you just make such better decisions.
So good to
and
hear.
have a lot more fun. It's done so much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've got 3 resorts, and that's nothing to sniff at, but is there bigger ambition here for yourself personally around the work that you're doing here? Because, as I said, I speak to people every day, and you seem to be miles ahead of most of them. So is there like a play here to do something that can help the industry at large, or you're happy just to refine your own kind of house-built systems for your own properties?
So I use LinkedIn to clarify my own thinking and connect with fun and interesting people. And so we've got a whole list of people who said, once it's finished, can we buy it? And these include some of the biggest hotel companies in the world, because our take on it seems to be different from other people's. One of the big chains, they've got we've got what we call an innovation partnership. They were, we went through the stuff with them, and they were trying to figure out how to get a roster of 3 receptionists off their mid-market brands down to 2. And I said, why? To save one person's salary? Why not? What we're trying to do is treble our profitability in 3 years. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to save a couple of bucks on some staff member. In fact, we'll probably have 5 staff, because we think where this is going is that it's going to create more demand for human hospitality, and a lot of the dross is going to be done by the AI. So we're not seeing, in our business, we're not seeing a reduction in the human team members. We're seeing an increase. So we're looking to develop and sell, and some of it's in partnership with others who are doing fun, amazing things, and some of it we're just buying off others, and some of it will sell to others, and some of it will work through the big platforms which are available. And we're an Oracle shop, so obviously anybody who's on Oracle will be able to take our systems and apply that to their, naturally integrate it to their POS, PMS, ERP. Those are the core ones, and Salesforce.
Brilliant.
So yeah, the answer, we're looking to sell it.
Incredible. This has been a fascinating chat that's just absolutely flown by. Our time is nearly up. Only got a minute or so left. But if people have liked what they've heard today, how can they get in contact with you? Are you interested in hearing from people? Like, what's the best way to connect with you personally?
Love hearing from people who are interested in this area. It's going to change the world. It's going to change hospitality. It's going to change hotels. If anyone's interested, the quickest way is to get onto LinkedIn, look up my profile. If you like what you're seeing, let's connect, and we'll go from there. And we've got a fantastic community on LinkedIn as it is, of people who are fascinated by the potential for AI, and they're all over the world. That's the great thing about where we're at, so we can basically draw inspiration from literally all over the world.
For sure. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, talking to us about the practical side of AI, about rolling up your sleeves and just getting it done. It's been absolutely fascinating and eye-opening, and I'm sure the listeners out there would think the same. Appreciate your time today, and highly recommend you get in touch with Tata and join him on LinkedIn and get into those groups. And if you haven't started yet, get going. But thanks for your time today, Tata.
Terrific.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. That's all for another Everything AI and Travel podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, hit subscribe so you get them first from now on, and we'll see you all for another one shortly. Thanks very much.
AI, in the travel game we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chat bot flow. AI, revolutionizing how we roll. Gonna hop